Good evening and welcome to News Tonight, where we get you the day's biggest news and events from India and the world. I'm Tina Jha. Let's take a look at what's making headlines this Saturday evening. Flood situation worsens in Kerala as death toll crosses 35. Over 50,000 people housed in relief camps. Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan conducts air survey, announces 4 lakh assistance for each of the families of the dead victims. Union Home Minister Rajnath Singh to visit the state tomorrow. BJP President Amit Shah addresses mega rally in Kolkata, asks TMC and Congress to clear their stand on the Assam National Register of Citizens issue. TMC claims other states equally affected by the issue. Congress says objection not to NRC but its implementation. Without enterprise and innovation, societies stagnate, cautions Prime Minister Nirav Modi. Praises IITs for building the brand India globally, says they have a key role in pioneering new technology that will decide the future trajectory of growth. Vice President and Rajya Sabha Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu completes 1 year in office, calls the period an effective engagement with different stakeholders. Reaching out to over 450 countrymen every day, Naidu kept students and youth, farmers, science, research and culture as the focus of his outreach across the country. And Trump administration suspends its more than a decade-long military training program of Pakistani personnel at US institutions. Media reports say the decision has been taken in the wake of Islamabad's agreement with Moscow to receive training at Russian defense centers. The top story, 11 districts in Kerala continue to remain on high alert following heavy rain and floods in the state. The Met Department has predicted heavy to very heavy rains in the state over the next 2 days. Fishermen have also been advised not to venture into the sea. At least 37 people have lost their lives in the state in the last 4 days.
37 people have died in the last 4 days due to floods triggered by incessant rains in Kerala. Over 54,000 people have been shifted to relief camps. A red alert has been issued for 8 of the 14 districts in the state, including Idukki, Wayanad, Malappuram, Kozhikode, Palakkad, Kottayam and Alappuzha. Kerala Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan, Leader of Opposition Ramesh Chennithala and other cabinet members conducted an aerial survey of the flood-affected areas of the state on Saturday. However, due to inclement weather, the Chief Minister's helicopter could not land in Idukki district.
It's a really bad situation and this is completely unprecedented. I don't think in human memory there's been any such floods which has completely devastated Kerala. I mean, 11 out of 14 districts of Kerala are basically underwater. Many of the roads are blocked.
The state government has announced compensation of 4 lakh rupees each to the kin of the deceased and families who lost their houses in the rain-related calamities. 10 lakh rupees will be provided to families who had lost their properties in landslides. 11 out of 14 districts are ravaged by floods in the state. Home Minister Rajnath Singh is also scheduled to visit the flood-affected areas on Sunday. Several teams of the Coast Guard, NDRF and Army are deployed in the state to help in round-the-clock rescue and relief operations. The June to September rains in Kerala have cost 175 lives and damaged crops worth 3.42 billion rupees since their onset on May 29th. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Prime Minister Nirav Modi on Saturday addressed students at IIT Bombay during their 56th convocation ceremony. Stressing on innovation, he said best ideas come from young minds in campuses and not government buildings and fancy offices. Here's a detailed report. Prime Minister Nirav Modi applauded the achievements of IITs as he addressed students at the 56th convocation of the Indian Institute of Technology, Bombay. The Prime Minister said India is now looked upon as a nursery of unicorn startups, for which one of the biggest sources of talent are the IITs.
Innovation is the buzzword of the 21st century. Any society that does not innovate will stagnate. That India is emerging as a hub for startups shows that the thirst for innovation is very much there. We must build on this further and make India the most attractive destination for innovation and enterprise.
In his address, the Prime Minister also said innovation is the buzzword of the 21st century, calling upon youngsters to innovate in India. He said IITs can contribute towards mitigating climate change, ensure better agricultural productivity, cleaner energy, water conservation, combating malnutrition and effective waste management.
Innovate in India, innovate for humanity. From mitigating climate change to ensuring better agriculture productivity, from cleaner energy to water conservation, from combating malnutrition to effective waste management, let us affirm that the best ideas will come from Indian labs and from Indian students.
The Prime Minister also gave away gold medals to the 3 top students of IIT Bombay and silver medals to 43 others in various categories. Later, he inaugurated the various departmental buildings of the institute that has been selected as one of the institutions of eminence by the government. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
A day after a productive monsoon session concluded with both houses of parliament being adjourned sine die, the government said that the monsoon session was dedicated to social justice. Parliamentary Affairs Minister Anant Kumar said that this monsoon session was the most productive in the last 20 years. He said that by defeating the no-confidence motion, the government showed that its alliances were strong. He said that the strength of the alliance was also visible in the deputy chairman election. The BJP also blamed the Congress for the triple talaq bill not getting the parliamentary nod in the monsoon session. During the session, the Lok Sabha passed 21 bills, while the Rajya Sabha passed 14 bills in 17 sittings over 24 days.
सत्र इस बार पिछले 20 साल में सबसे सार्थक सत्र रहा। लोकसभा ने 118% काम किया और राज्यसभा ने 74% काम किया। इससे ज़्यादा महत्वपूर्ण ये है, अविश्वास प्रस्ताव को सरकार ने हरा दिया और विपक्ष को जो ये दुस्साहस किया था अविश्वास प्रस्ताव लाने का, उनको एक संदेशा मिला, मुंहतोड़ जवाब दिया गया। यानी बीजेपी, एनडीए और एनडीए प्लस ये सब साथ है।
राज्यसभा का जो सेशन है वो मोस्ट प्रोडक्टिव सेशन हुआ है। मैं कह सकता हूं कि ये इस बार की एनडीए की सरकार में सबसे ज़्यादा उत्पादकता रही इस सेशन के अंदर, और उसका एक बड़ा कारण ये भी रहा कि सेशन आरंभ होने से पहले जो हमने विरोधी पार्टियों से बात की, उनके घरों तक हम पहुंचे और उनको ये कन्विंस करने की कोशिश की कि ये केवल पॉलिटिकल राजनीतिक मामला नहीं है केवल, बल्कि इसमें जो बिल आ रहे हैं वो जनता से जुड़े हुए हैं। इसलिए आपका जो विरोध है वो बिल के प्रति होना चाहिए या उसमें आपको संशोधन देने चाहिए। तो मैं समझता हूं कि उनसे संपर्क करने का भी लाभ हुआ।
M. Venkaiah Naidu completes 1 year in office both as the Vice President and as Chairman of the Rajya Sabha. On the 11th of August 2017, Venkaiah Naidu took oath as the Vice President at the Darbar Hall in Rashtrapati Bhavan. It has been an eventful year for him, marked by several milestones. Taking to Twitter, the Vice President recounted major milestones both as the Vice President and Chairman of Rajya Sabha. In the first year of his term, Naidu engaged actively with leaders of different countries. He met leaders of as many as 22 countries visiting India. As Vice President, he visited 28 out of the 29 states and 3 union territories during the past year, which is a record for any Vice President. He also has made strenuous efforts to address some of the pressing problems facing the country through his interactions with students, farmers and scientists. It has been an eventful 1 year in office for him as the Rajya Sabha chairman too. From setting precedents to making the House technology friendly, he has taken various initiatives to raise the level of discourse in the House. His first year in office has been marked by quick decision-making and a number of firsts. BJP President Amit Shah launched a scathing attack on the TMC and the Congress on the NRC issue. Addressing a public rally in Kolkata, the BJP President gave a call for ousting the TMC government from Bengal. He said that he would visit all the districts of the state to uproot the TMC government from West Bengal.
BJP President Amit Shah targeted West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee and Congress President Rahul Gandhi for opposing the National Register of Citizens in Assam. Addressing a massive public rally in Kolkata, Amit Shah said the two leaders should clarify whether the country came first for them or the vote bank. The BJP chief also accused West Bengal's ruling Trinamool Congress of patronizing infiltration from Bangladesh as well as corruption.
ममता जी ये स्पष्ट करिए, कांग्रेस पार्टी के अध्यक्ष स्पष्ट करें कि आप देश की सुरक्षा को आगे रखते हो या अपने वोट बैंक की पॉलिटिक्स को आगे रखते हो। एक ऐसी प्रचंड ताकत खड़ी करिए कि ममता जी को भी डरकर एनआरसी का समर्थन करना पड़े।
Assuring refugees that no action will be taken against them, Shah said the TMC was spreading the propaganda that refugees will be driven out of the country. The TMC also took out demonstrations across the state to protest against NRC. The party said NRC is not just an issue for Assam and Bengal, but for several states and communities.
Amader je position on NRC is very, very clear. It is not an issue of Bengal, only of Bangla. It is an issue of Rajasthan, Punjab, Bihar, Assam, Gurkhas. It is an issue of tribals. It is an issue of jara shobche doridro, shobche gorib, shobche marginalized.
The Congress meanwhile said it is not opposed to the NRC but to the way it was being implemented in Assam.
10 साल जब हमारी सरकार थी तो 82,000 घुसपैठियों को हमने बाहर भेजा। इन्होंने 1800 भेजे 4.5 साल में। तो अपना स्टैंड तो क्लियर कर लें कि क्या ये एनआरसी के साथ हैं कि सिटीजन अमेंडमेंट एक्ट के साथ हैं, जिसमें हर व्यक्ति को ये कानून ये बीजेपी बना रही है कि जो घुसपैठिया भी है वो सिटीजन का हिंदुस्तान का सिटीजन बन सके।
The Congress also claimed that 80% of the NRC work in Assam was done by the Congress and the BJP came into the picture only after the Supreme Court's directive. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And Congress President Rahul Gandhi launched his party's campaign for the assembly polls later this year in Rajasthan. In an address to party workers in the state, the Congress President targeted Prime Minister Nirav Modi over the Rafale aircraft deal. Gandhi claimed that the Rafale deal had snatched job opportunities from young Indians, including engineers, as the planes will now be manufactured abroad. Alleging corruption, he said that the current price of the Rafale plane is about 3 times the amount agreed upon during the previous Congress-led government. And time for a short break. News and updates will continue on the other side. Welcome back. You're watching News Tonight. A special Fugitive Economic Offenders Act court in Mumbai on Saturday issued public summons to the siblings of absconding diamantaire Nirav Modi, the accused in the PNB fraud case. They have been asked to appear on the 25th of September. It said if they fail to appear, their assets will be confiscated under the newly enacted act aimed at curbing big-ticket economic crimes. The court has asked the duo to appear before it on the same date on which Nirav Modi has also been summoned by it under the Fugitive Economic Offenders Act. It is turning out to be one of the exceptional success stories of empowerment of rural women. Armed with their expertise, batik and tie-and-dye prints, rural women from Ujjain in Madhya Pradesh are carving their place in an increasingly crowded global market through their handlooms. Here's our ground report from Ujjain. In Rubina's workshop in Bhairavgarh, Ujjain women are swiftly drawing what seem like doodles on fabric. What emerge are beautiful motifs of flowers and leaves, spiraling and twisting creepers in perfect symmetry. Vats of steaming hot wax on gas burners stand alongside large sand-covered tables ready to be applied to the cloth. After her husband passed away, Rubina was forced to become the bread earner for her family. A government program on the state's indigenous products showed her the way. She became an entrepreneur, leading a group of 15 women artisans.
चौथा बच्चे के बाद में इसके बाप की डेट हो गई। उनके बाद में 27 साल से ये काम अकेली चला रही। अब 4 ही बच्चों की परवरिश करी, शादी करी इनकी और इनके लिए मकान खड़ा कर दिया। अभी भी यही कर रहे हैं।
Glowing yellow and intense hues of reds crowd Rima's room as she readies boxes for dispatch. For someone who's never stepped outside her home until a couple of years ago, business is booming, taking her to cities like Mumbai, Ahmedabad, Lahore and Kathmandu.
मैं 2-4 औरतों को काम दे रखा है। हमारा काम अच्छा चलता है। देश दिल्ली, कलकत्ता, बम्बई, अहमदाबाद, भोपाल सब जगह जाता है और विदेश में भी जाने लग गया अब तो। ऐसे मेहनत का काम बहुत रहता है हमारा।
All these years, these women depended on their fathers and husbands for money to run their households. Today, they are earning profits on their own, marketing batik products made by their self-help group.
हो जाता है, हेल्प हो जाती है घर में और 20, 15, 25 सूट भी लग जाते हैं। हेल्प हो जाती है घर में, पास के पास में ही है, काम आके कर लेते हैं।
Brought to Bhairavgarh by craftsmen who came from Gujarat and Rajasthan during the Mughal reign 400 years ago, batik printing is assisting in the economic and social empowerment for the women in the region. Kriti Mishra's report for Rajya Sabha TV. And let's now take a look at some other national news in nationwide. External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj announced that a Hindi weekly news bulletin from the platform of the United Nations has started broadcast as part of a pilot project. She emphasized that the government was also making efforts to make Hindi one of the official languages of the world body. Sushma said that a UN Twitter account in Hindi was also opened to give Hindi-speaking public access to the programs and news related to the United Nations. The news bulletin on UN radio is weekly and is 10 minutes long. The bulletin is being facilitated by the Indian government that is bearing its expenses. A girl student of a civic body-run school in Mumbai died while over 160 students were hospitalized due to suspected poisoning after taking iron-boosting pills given by the school. According to a statement by the BMC, the girl skipped school on Tuesday but attended classes on Wednesday but died at her home last night after vomiting blood. It added that the students of the school were given iron, folic acid and deworming tablets as part of a central government scheme aimed at fighting anemia among children. Defence Minister Nirmala Sitharaman appealed to the defence industries to increase their export capacity as there is demand for quality defence products all over the world. While inaugurating the first phase of UP Defence Corridor in Aligarh, she said that the government will support them in every possible manner. Sitharaman said vice chiefs of all the three forces are present on the occasion so that they decide on the procurement part and also interact with the investors, and said to appeal to the investors to look beyond the armed forces in terms of potential markets. Justice Aniruddha Bose took oath as the new Chief Justice of Jharkhand High Court. He was administered the oath by Jharkhand Governor Draupadi Murmu at the Raj Bhavan. Jharkhand Chief Minister Raghubar Das, former Chief Ministers Arjun Munda and Hemant Soren, Jharkhand Assembly Speaker Dinesh Aron and a host of dignitaries were also present on the occasion. And on to some international news now. The Donald Trump administration has suspended more than a decade-long military training program of Pakistani personnel at the US institutions. The move comes after Islamabad and Moscow signed an agreement to allow Pakistani troops to receive training at the Russian defense centers. Pakistan and Russia signed an agreement on the 7th of August at their first Joint Military Consultative Committee meeting in Rawalpindi. The relations between Pakistan and the US nosedived this January after President Donald Trump accused Islamabad of lies and deceit. The US Congress also passed a bill to slash Pakistan's defense aid to $150 million, significantly below the historic level of more than $1 billion per year. US space agency NASA has delayed the launch of its solar mission, Parker Solar Probe. The Parker Solar Probe was set to launch from Cape Canaveral, Florida on Saturday, but last-minute investigations delayed it for 24 hours. NASA had a weather window of 65 minutes to launch, but the time elapsed before the issue could be resolved. It is now scheduled to blast off on board the Mammoth Delta IV heavy rocket on Sunday morning. The probe will become the fastest-moving man-made object in history. The $1.5 billion mission will take humanity closer to the sun than ever before. Parker will be the first spacecraft to fly through the sun's corona, the outermost part of the star's atmosphere. It is expected to reach the sun in November. And that's it from us in this bulletin. Thanks for your time.